Hello, Renee Flamont here. I'm so excited. This is our first Friday off-topic video. And, I've started and stopped this video like 10 times. I was in the kitchen. I was over here. Because I'm nervous. Because I made an outline. But this topic, I could go on forever. And I'm going to be jumbled. But I'm nervous to get the point across. Because the topic is intolerance. And in the world today, every single thing that you say is scrutinized. Every single thing is taken to the nth degree. And it's the vitriol that we have seen in this world that has changed from a social media having, everyone has a forum, everyone has a voice now, which that part I think is great. Good. I think that's good. But we never, when I was younger, had any kind of argumentative, all-out fighting over every single issue in the world like I see today. I have seen family de-family and friends de-friend over politics. Politics! It's politics. We're a democracy. So everyone has a right to believe what they want. How are you fighting with someone because they don't agree with you? I don't even understand that. I don't get it. Aren't we a two-party system? I won't get political. You won't hear me. Maybe one day I'll make a video of what I think about the whole thing, but for the most part, you won't hear me because my opinion shouldn't matter. Yours shouldn't matter. I've seen people, I'm not going to listen to that singer because they're a Democrat or they're a Republican or whatever. Guess what? I don't care what Barbara Streisand's political views are any more than I care what Ronald Reagan's voice was as a singer. They're not connected to me. Do you follow me? So I don't do that. Anyway, see, this is why I was nervous, because I jump in and I get all crazy, right? But here's the thing. When it comes to intolerance, and one of the things that led me to want to make this video is I got a comment on one of my videos once about me burning sage, and the viewer was going to stop watching the channel because she thought that was devil worship. I thanked her kindly. I wished her well. I'm not here to argue with anybody. I won't be baited to argue. It's not going to happen. I've lived long enough in my life and argued stupidly enough in my youth when I should have walked on. I'm certainly not going to allow this channel to become that. But with that comment, I thought it was a shame because she addressed that she enjoyed the channel. And I thought, I'm a Catholic girl, fully confirmed Catholic. Okay? And I always make a joke that I should have been Jewish, and I've been reading about Buddhism for 30 years. But I feel that in no way, shape, or form do I worship the devil. Saging, smudging, incense, candles, these are things that I've always done since I was very, very young. I don't associate those with devil worship. It makes me feel cleansed when I sage or smudge the room. I do feel the evil energy leaving. My daughter, she would just watch me and laugh, and she embraced it with me. You're right, Mommy. You know what I mean? That's my thing. It doesn't mean I worship the devil. A couple of videos ago, this is another point. I was panicked because I used the word special needs to refer to categorically the narcissism mindset as you try to approach and reason with them, because some special needs I mentioned have to do with the mind. I was nervous just because I said the words special needs. I was nervous. That's what the category is. Every word everybody says these days is scrutinized, and I just feel that the world has gotten out of control. And in social media today or on any forum, you can find people really arguing it out. I've seen threads go on at length with an argument over someone's comment. The thread is now so far removed from the original post, I wonder how people feel like it. But if you post about one issue and the off-topic argument is 238 comments deep, I just feel that seems a bit extra. First of all, you're missing the point of whatever the original post was. And second of all, if it bothers you that much, why don't you just skip it? Why are you unnecessarily arguing like that? It seems not nice to me. It just doesn't seem nice. You see strangers who don't even know each other yelling at each other. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, yes, we all have a right to an opinion. I agree. And you can speak it. You can. But should you? Is it necessary you say this? Is it kind that you say this? Is it true that you say this? You have a concern? Okay. Express it kindly. Why does it have to be combative? Why can't we just state our case? With the Sage comment, I very kindly said to them, I probably said something to them that I hope they continue to watch. But I'm not gonna get into arguments with somebody because they think a different way. I respect that that's her feeling. I respect that. Being open-minded, this is my opinion. Being open-minded means accepting those that are closed-minded or differently minded than you. That is the true definition of being open-minded. I think a lot of people get confused and they think if they're open-minded, you will then reflect exactly their views, and only if you do can you also be considered open-minded. People tend to try to sell you that being open-minded equates to you believing a certain way, whether it's pro-life, pro-gay rights, pro-guns, anti-guns, pro-government intervention, anti-government intervention. The list goes on. Your way is your way, whether I think it's right or wrong. Who's to say which is right or wrong? There are black and white categories, obviously, that are right or wrong. Obviously. I taught my daughter what I said above. To be truly open-minded is, in fact, accepting those that are closed-minded. And I'm going to tell you an example of what I mean. And this is, I was like 20 years old when I decided this. I was talking to my papa. I was in Rhode Island, and I was in college. And this man is the greatest man anyone ever met in their life. Anyone will tell you that. He was the saint in anybody's life. There's not a bad word to be said about my papa. But this was back in the 80s, 87. I think I was 20. Idealized college student, when many of us find our voice. And I asked him about a few choice words he used that sounded off color to me. Phrases he would use. And I tried to explain that there are nicer ways to say things now, Papa. There are, different things different phrases we use to explain that nowadays. And that's antiquated and that's considered not nice. And you know what? We talked. And he explained a lot of things to me. And it occurred to me when I was talking to him in his genteel way, it doesn't mean that my papa was against this or prejudiced this or racist that, and I should have gone into a rant if, say, because back then, people, it still happens, but people use words, every decade it seems to change. I think he said the word colored people. And I said, Papa, they don't say that anymore. They don't say that anymore. Well, nowadays, 30 years later, 35, it's a different, way. Now it was African American. Then it was like, I was like, why African American? They're not all from Africa. That doesn't make any sense. White, black, red, brown. Isn't that the easiest colors? How can anyone be offended? They're all colors. So whatever color you say, if you're calling me white and calling you black and calling you red, we're all colors. So nothing is good or bad. To me, that's easiest, right? Okay, I don't know what's even right today. But absolutely did it not mean that my grandfather was any kind of anything. It just meant, I realized in that moment, because I knew his kind heart. But words he said, he was an Italian, born in 1923, whose parents came here from Naples, Italy, or no, he wasn't Naples. I got to figure that one out. But his views and his descriptive words would naturally differ from mine. I'm half French, half Italian, born in 1967. So I'm going to have a totally different way of doing everything than him. I wasn't going to teach him my idealized, newly found enlightenment attending college person over his 40 plus years of his life on this earth. Everything in our upbringing will lead you to your views. And if you're inquisitive like I am, hopefully you'll be yearning for education yourself and be able to arrive at your own evolved, informed opinions. When you go up back then, immersed 100% in a certain nationality, culture, religion, these things could lend themselves to forming your outlook. My grandfather's parents weren't from here. And I can't believe I'm blanking on the town they're from. My grandmother's family is Italy, his wife's. Where is my grandfather's? I didn't know them. Maybe that's why I don't know. I knew my great-grandparents on my grandmother's side from Italy. I had them until I was 10. I was very lucky. But my point was, I realized in that moment, these people didn't have internet. He stopped going to school in the 9th grade, my grandfather, in Providence, Rhode Island. He was like one of 19. They all had to work. I wasn't about to argue the point with him. He had the integrity of the best of the best. He acknowledged what I was saying to him. We didn't argue. And I realized in that moment that because he used a word here or there that was different, it didn't mean that he was any lesser than anybody else. It meant he was from a different time. It didn't mean his heart was ugly or that anyone should have, argued with him. Half the things he said right now, if he said on social media, people would argue with him. Argue with my papa? Nobody argued with my papa. He was the sweetest man you ever meet in your whole life. Ever. So I realized at that time, I looked at him, and this man survived Battle of the Bulge, World War II, and never spoke of it. He was so genteel and humble, and he saw things we cannot possibly fathom. And I talked with him, and he understood my point. But I respected him enough to know that's all I could have asked. As I moved through life until 2008 when we lost him, I never again challenged him on anything he said. He had a background different than mine, and he was taught completely differently. So that means that my closed-mindedness could have, if I allowed it to, and people do allow it, for there to be a wedge between me and him. I've seen families do it. I've seen people defriend each other over Chick-fil-A. Watched it happen before my eyes. And in life and on social media. I can't believe you're eating that. And the eater said, I'm sorry? Well, they don't believe in gay marriage. And the eater of the Chick-fil-A said, well, he has a right to believe what he believes. It's really delicious chicken. And I agreed with the eater, because I'll tell you something. He's closed on Sundays. He doesn't believe in gay marriage. He's obviously this Christian man. I never even looked it up. I just read the bylines. Honestly, he has that right to have that belief system. He has those rights. Do I agree? Heck no, I don't agree. I've been to gay weddings. Orlando, please. I think we're 66th percentile gay. I mean, there's a lot, wide open-minded here. But that means that doesn't mean I'm going to stop going. It's the only to-go place I like. I don't do anything else. And I only discovered Chick-fil-A after it was just a handful of years ago, 10 maybe. People were already eating it. I'm like, what is this? It's good chicken. That's the bottom line to the person that was eating it. He's not trying to make a statement that he's anti-gay marriage also. And he's not trying to say that he agreed with the owner's view of it being it. But whether or not they bought that chicken is not going to affect the cause. People are crazy. That's another example. And anyone has the right to have any belief that they want. And is that belief more closed-minded than mine? Sure, of course. But it's his belief, not mine. He has the right. We're not talking about accepting violence or derogatory commentary about someone's lifestyle. I think that he just was some kind of Christian person, which is evidenced also by them being closed on Sunday. So he walks the walk. I think it's deplorable that And I mean, this video is about tolerating everybody's everything so that nobody thinks they have to argue over everything. It just feels like everybody argues over everything. Think back about old TV shows, classic TV shows. Archie Bunker would never fly today, ever. His intolerance was off the chart. But Carol O'Connor was funny, and his deliveries were legendary, and we just laughed. We just laughed. Now, some people, depending on what word you might find him saying, maybe it was derogatory, and they're like, but that's really offensive. But they weren't thinking that way in the 70s. They were from a different time. They were from a different time. I'm all for evolution. But to tear down, the last 2 years, tearing down statues and destroying and whitewashing our entire country's history to make a point that those things are wrong, well, now you just wiped out historical events. Whether they're right or wrong, they happen. They have a right to have a commemorative. I do think there's room for improvement these days, of course. But I'm not about to fight with strangers on the line trying to shove my way down their throats. I don't think there are definite lines on some issues. And I think that there are definitely definite lines on other issues, being right and wrong. But my God, does anyone really think that they're going to change a stranger's mind by infusing their commentary on the internet? I've watched it. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, these people are strangers. You think you're going to get through, so you just feel like arguing then. Because it takes effort. You had to hit comment, you had to pause, you had to do this, you had to delete, space, figure it out, proofread it, and hit send. That's how much it meant to you? You think you're going to get through to that stranger? Or you just feel like arguing? That's my point. Nobody's tolerant of anything. Then there's bullying, and there's Karens, and there's division. All it does is create fighting. Does anyone not just scroll by and not say anything? It seems everyone's intolerance has gotten a bit off the point. A bit off the point. Standing your ground is important, yes, but not just for the sake of fighting, for sport. There's a time and a place and a manner in which we can civilize, in a civilized way, try to bring forth your education to someone else, your enlightenment to someone else. Someone can inform you of a different way. You know, my father is very set in his opinions of things. And in my opinion, though, I wouldn't call him closed-minded, because he is always open-minded enough to say he will just simply say this to anybody that disagrees with him and tries to make him think like him. He'll go, change my mind. He gives you a shot. Change my mind. So I'm all for debate. I was raised that way. But I'm also all for, I don't really think I feel like doing this with my father, and I'm okay with him thinking that way, and he has a right to think that way, whatever way that is. Turns out my father and I are almost identical in our brain. But do you know what I'm saying? So you're going to just fight just for the sake of it? It creates so much negative energy everywhere. I mean, why can't people just scroll by and realize that getting so incensed in a fight that isn't even yours is causing you unnecessary stress and negative energy? How can you? Well, I just can't let them get away with that, or I really want to make my point. Okay, well, I think we can all approach each other with more kindness. You don't have to bow down to someone's level. And there's always the first person that does a kicker. Well, aren't you a jerk for saying that? A person just expressed their opinion and then gets called a name, and then other people join in and yell at the person calling the person names, and it becomes this huge thing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I know you all know what I mean. It's unbelievable, because the fight isn't even theirs. How do they feel like it? Are they bored? People are lonely, I think. And you get an isolated person who's always on their computer as a way to either avoid intimacy with people or fill their day, and this is what they do, I think, or something. I don't know, but we have to remember, people could have been born in a different time, raised differently culturally, and who's to say their way is wrong and your way is right? Culture, religion, things like that, those go back thousands of years. People have their beliefs. It's okay for people to have their beliefs. And even with the topics that seem cut and dry to us, somebody else may have been raised for 5,000 years of their culture to think the opposite way. Again, I'm not talking about inhumane things. There are definite right and wrong in many categories, okay? I'm being very careful not to mention too many specific categories because I really don't want this forum to become an argumentative type thing. That's not what I'm after with this channel, and I think you know that by now. I'm after people becoming enlightened, more accepting of each other, and maybe trying to realize that going forward, my wish for the world would be that we all stop this fighting. That we all stop being so overly sensitive to every single word, every single second. People aren't even allowed to misstep or misspeak these days. They're not even allowed for you to find a videotape of them 20 years ago saying a word. Getting fired over a word you said 20 years ago? That person could have evolved tenfold, 10 times over by then and been a totally different person now than they were then. That's not nice. They might be apologetic for that. They might be mortified to even know that that's on tape. That could be their punishment enough. I'm not saying whether or not somebody should be fired or not. That's why I'm not bringing up specifics in that case. I don't want there to be those topics in here. But people make errors. What flies out of someone's mouth may or may not genuinely reflect their heart. They could be a phenomenal person and they could be having a bad day. It just seems attacks are on the rise and tolerance is gone. Gone. I've never seen anything like it, and I know you know what I mean. And I'm online, I read a lot. And like I said, I watched friends defriend people. I watched friends get into political arguments, especially 4 years ago, and all. Oh my God, I was shocked. I was shocked at how incensed people can get. This is America. Everyone calm down, okay? You don't like the president? Guess what? Every 4 years, we get a chance to change him out. Calm down. I have never witnessed that in my life, what the country went through. Now, somebody will maybe want to say, but don't you think that this is... I won't do that. I'm not going to argue those points. My point is just calm down. We live in America. It's the voting system. The most that you'll have to deal with anything is 4 years with the You can vote them out. We can change things. We're okay. It's a beautiful country of the free, land of the free. Everybody just calm down. And every single time I read something, it's still happening. It's become, people turn it into something political, and they turn it into something personal to them. And you don't know what I went through with, well, guess what? I don't think that stranger was thinking of your situation. Everyone's experiences and situations are different. And I'm telling you, I will stand by till the end of time what I taught my daughter. To be truly open-minded. Truly open-minded means you accept what? Is your idea of open-minded just you're going to accept other open-minded people? That's kind of closed-minded of you. You're ignoring two other subsets. There are closed-minded people, and there are people that will completely different than your opinion. There are, you know what I mean? There's all different. Pardon me. If you're only accepted like-minded, open-minded people, to me that means you're closed-minded. So you won't eat a Chick-fil-A, so you're closed-minded. You think you're so open-minded, you're pro-gay marriage, so you won't eat a Chick-fil-A. Guess what? I'm pro-gay marriage, and I eat a Chick-fil-A. I recognize them that they can exist together. And I'm okay with it. I sleep fine. Me not buying his chicken isn't going to make him believe that gay marriage is okay. I've always believed it. It's not even a thing. My God. I'm the most open-minded person you could ever encounter in your life. My daughter will tell you. My ex-husband will tell you. My parents will tell you. My brother will tell you. My cousin will tell you. Like, there's just not... My friends will tell you. And I know many, many, many people that are much more closed-minded than I am. They're still my friends. I'm still close with them. I disagree on many things, but I'm still close with them. But I think that people get all up in arms. If you want to be a truly open-minded people, you have to accept the closed-minded people for who they are and stop trying. We try to jam each other's opinions down our throat. I don't do that because I accept closed-minded people. I don't find myself in an argument. People are going head-to-head at like the neighbor, tete-a-tete. I mixed French and English. Tete-a-tete, head-to-head. At the neighborhood barbecue. People who were friends, who golfed that day. And then they get into an argument that night because politics came up. That's ridiculous. I never saw anything like that when I was younger. Please watch out for this, people. And if you're somebody in the world putting that out there, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why, and what is it that's missing in your life? A very, 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 very good friend of mine has some strong opinions, and he gets on pages to argue with people. That's what he does. He likes to do that. I don't get it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with him. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with him. You know what I mean? Let's all be a little more time. This isn't the last time I'll talk about this. I told you I'd get carried away. We've been going a long time. Thank you. It's the first Friday off-topic video. And if you like what you see, hit subscribe and like. I think I forgot the last few videos. So hit subscribe and like and join us on Monday.